I'm meeting two friends here in the city. One is highly familiar with the city, and the other is not. I need both of them to get to this location. Both of them are intelligent enough to get here, but they just have different levels of knowledge when it comes to the city landscape. Sound familiar? So instead of giving one set of directions and frustrating them and myself, I think they will need separate sets of directions. What do you think? By now, you see where this is going. Differentiating for skill levels is the same as giving separate directions to the same location, based on the person's familiarity with where they are going. While similar to the other types of differentiation, skill level differentiation is a little more involved. One technique that is quite common is guided reading. There is a difference between guided reading and small group. Let me show you what I mean. So small group versus guided reading. It is not a matter of semantics. They are different. The purpose of this presentation, we want to distinguish between small groups and guided reading, outline a process for establishing guided reading, and highlight some keys to remember. So small group instruction can be used in any content area across the board. The teacher determines the purpose for why they are providing this small group instruction. However, guided reading is a form of small group that structures groups of 2 to 6 students based on their reading levels in order to improve students' ability for a common and specific skill, i.e. comprehension, fluency, decoding, etc. So what's the difference? Basically, small group is the vehicle. It's generic, it's a mode of transportation. Guided reading is a specific type of vehicle used for a specific type of purpose. And that's the major difference. It is not a matter of semantics where I can just say, well, I did small group reading sessions. No, guided reading is different, and it's a form of instruction with a specialized purpose, where small group is generic and can be used across the board for any content area. So how do you structure guided reading? You want to identify potential participants, whether it's through reading scores, observations, or recommendations. Then you determine the goal for the group. Again, fluency, comprehension, decoding, what have you. Next, you want to select text suitable for students' reading level. The ideal is to have a gradual progression of difficulty so you can strengthen students' skills. Next, you want to structure the guided reading lesson. Last but not least, you want to plan structured independent activities for the rest of the class. This is not busy work. It can be the same text or lesson, but with a differentiated level or with an alternative improv. This is key because when working with a small group, you have to have control of the remainder of the class, or your small group could end up being ineffective. Something to keep in mind as you're structuring the lesson plan for the guided reading, you want to determine how you're going to identify whether students are ready to move on or not. The whole purpose is so that students do not need your assistance. So some questions you can ask is, how will you know the student is ready to exit guided reading sessions? And also, how will you transition students back into whole group or independent settings? So some keys to remember: guided reading is a type of small group. An identified purpose, means of instruction, and exit plan are needed. The goal is for the students not to need the support. And last but not least, be as creative as possible. You're dealing with struggling readers. So doing the same thing that you did in whole group or independent activity will likely not be effective. You want to be as creative as possible. And that is the difference between small group and guided reading in a nutshell. We hope that clarifies things a bit more. While it may seem minute, distinction is imperative for new teachers. The mixing of terminologies could lead to improper implementation. Differentiation, no matter the means, is just a different set of directions to get students to the same location. Everyone, at some time, for some reason, in life, will require a form of differentiation. So be sure not to project any negative connotations for students. We hope your year is off to a great start, and we thank you for your dedication. See you next time.